Now, first of all, let me say this. It is my hope that every Knicks fan sees this. And not only do you see this, but you put it out there for others to see. This is raw, uncut, unfiltered. This is purely the truth and how I feel at this point in time. See, I was going to record a good New York Knicks video, one that celebrated our play last night. Despite the loss, despite the technical foul from Julius Randle, despite every bad thing that may have happened last night, I was going to dispel those things. I wasn't going to talk about those things. The only thing that I was concerned with talking about was purely how the Knicks looked like a better team. How they looked like they was building with each other. Everyone was on a string. Excuse me. Everyone was on a string. Everyone was connected. It was a team effort last night, despite the loss. I wasn't going to talk about how the referees let certain things go with the Knicks, something that I witnessed all throughout the game. I was aware of how they treat the Knicks. You guys have seen me repeatedly put videos about the way that they treat the Knicks. You guys know how I feel if you follow me. I wasn't going to put that up today. Today was a moment for celebration for me, despite the loss. Because what I saw from the Knicks, even without RJ Barrett, let me know that we were on the path to better. Something was happening with the Knicks that was awesome to my eyes. Something that I was happy to witness. But that was taken away from me today by no other than Stephen A. Smith. Everything good that I seen last night was ripped out from me in a matter of 10 seconds of him telling Julius Randle to shut the hell up. You're not Kevin Durant. You can't get those foul calls. Even though you're being fouled, you can't get those calls because you're not Kevin Durant. If there was ever a time for Knicks fans to band together, if there was ever a time for the upper echelon people that's in MSG to hear us, it will be right now. Stephen A. Smith, who shares the last name of me, because that's my last name. But Stephen A. Smith needs to be banned from MSG. There's no reason that he should be allowed to walk in the doors of the garden. There's no reason he should be allowed to sit next to Spike Lee or anybody for that matter in the garden. He is the disgrace to the Knicks fans. He is disgusting to our Knicks nation, and he does not represent us, no matter what he says. And if you're a true Knicks fan and you're aware of the things that ESPN, Fox Sports, even sometimes SNY do to the Knicks, then you should feel exactly the way that I feel right now. I am disgusted with Stephen A. Smith. Never mind the cars that's going by behind me. It doesn't block me from what I feel. Stephen A. Smith, after acknowledging that Julius Randle does get fouled when he goes to the basket, then proceeded to tell him to shut up. You are not Kevin Durant. You can't get those calls, was blasphemy. It was blasphemy to every Knicks fan in America. Okay? Why? Because it shouldn't matter whether he's Kevin Durant or not. A foul is a foul. How can you be a true fan of New York and then tell them to shut the hell up to our top player? How can you call yourself a Knicks fan and then repeatedly tell the best player on the Knicks franchise that he should shut the hell up? He's not Kevin Durant. He can't get those calls. I don't understand in what universe where that is valid. What universe, Stephen A, is it right for? Okay, I'll give you an example right here. If the owner of ESPN came and slapped you dead in your face, would you or would you not file charges? I'm pretty sure that you would. But what if the judge on that case told you, I'm not putting no repercussions on ESPN because guess what? You're not ESPN. You don't have the same power as ESPN. You don't make the same difference as ESPN, or not even being able to slap you in your face. What if ESPN told you that you couldn't create another show anywhere else? Whether or not they put it in their contract. What if they told you you can't do nothing out, you can't even breathe without their say so? And then everybody else agreed with them because you're not ESPN. Where does that go right, Stephen A? Repeatedly for the past, I would even say 20 years, we've witnessed ESPN repeatedly bash the New York Knicks. Nobody calls them out on it. None of these other Knicks YouTubes don't be saying they in cahoots with some of the people from ESPN. So how could you call them out on it? Because you're under the thumb of ESPN, but not me. I don't care. I don't care if I ever got to deal with ESPN or Fox Sport or any network outside of MSG. So I don't have to bite my tongue when I say these things about ESPN. I recognize a network that has intentions on bashing another network. Do you guys get what I'm saying to you? The majority of basketball teams do not have their secular channels. They're in some form with CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox Sports, or ESPN down the line. They do not boast their own network, two channels like MSG Sports. Do you see the logical thinking that I'm bringing to you? Do you understand the message that I'm bringing to you? This is deeper than Julius Randle. This is deeper than RJ Barrett in the Knicks. This trickles all the way down to James Dolan and MSG Networks. What is one of the most things that you hear them talk about with James Dolan? He needs to sell the team. He needs to sell the team. Why? Because if you know anything, and don't think that James Dolan don't have other people that's a part of the New York Knicks or MSG franchise. He does. It's just that none of them are incorporated with the NBA or ESPN or Disney. So by them not being incorporated, that leaves money out where it usually is taken from by these corporations that's against Dolan. And I don't want to get too political on you guys. I just want you to get the message of what I'm trying to bring to you. If you understand the problem, then you will understand why all of this is going on. Stephen A doesn't care about New York Knicks. He'd rather see Brooklyn with the title. Just because he said New York stand up doesn't mean that he really actually means New York stand up. Why? Because he know he's in it for a cash grab. Stephen A is holding on to any bit of a controversy that will get him views. So by him repping the Knicks, a controversial team by some standards of what they would say, he's gonna do that. So when the Knicks have a bad game that he act like we lost by 30 when we only lost by 2, of course that will bring views. Stephen A barely talks about the Knicks. It barely makes YouTube or anything about him talking about the Knicks until what? He wants to rant and belittle them. Think about it. All the stuff that's been going on throughout the weeks. Does it ever make YouTube when he's bashing the Knicks? And I've heard him say things about the Knicks that never made YouTube, by the way. But soon as he wants to bash the Knicks and scream on Julius Randle like he's a child and tell, if I was Julius Randle, I will press him about that. You don't tell me to shut the hell up. I'm not KD. Are you serious? Too many times throughout this season, throughout last season, throughout the season before that, and before that, and before that, and before that, and before that. We've witnessed NBA officials not give the Knicks the benefit of a doubt. Why? What makes this team that much better than me that I can't get a viable call? The same thing we witnessed with the Phoenix Suns. Even though the Knicks lost that on their own, I still seen plays where Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul them did some funny stuff and the ref never said anything about it. Why is that? If the Knicks breathe on a team, a foul is called. Why is that? Why is the Knicks not allotted the same type of respect that other teams have? Why? Because Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant and James Harden is James Harden. They have to be excluded from being penalized when they do bad things. Why? Because Julius Randle is who Julius Randle is. He's not afforded the luxury of being treated fairly by NBA officials. We witnessed this same thing with RJ Barrett. Plenty of times I've witnessed RJ Barrett go down to the basket, drive to the paint, drive to the rim, get fouled, nothing's called. To the point where Barrett is frustrated. He can't even think straight because he knows anytime he go to the basket, no matter what they do to him, nothing is going to be called. How do you think that makes these players feel? Julius Randle alluded to it. He said it pisses me off. It should. Why? Isn't he a human being just like Kevin Durant and James Harden? Isn't RJ Barrett a human being just like these other players? Why does it? Oh, we don't want to have a lot of fouls. That doesn't mean you cheat other players. Maybe if you start calling the fouls that you're supposed to call, people will learn to not foul and play with their feet and not their hands. How can you call yourself an NBA official if you're robbing teams out of victories? Have y'all ever noticed this? I'm talking to all the Knicks fans out there. Have y'all ever noticed this? Look at our games. When the Knicks are up, one of the first things that always happen, the refs start calling bogus calls on the Knicks, which in turn brings the other team back. And next thing you know, the Knicks lose all types of sensibility and they're losing the game. Look at our games. Look at the ones before me mentioning it. Look at the way we play when we have the lead. Watch the refs call bogus calls on the Knicks that not only stops the clock, but brings the teams that are opposing teams back. Think about it. Because I've looked at it. I've seen it and I've witnessed it. The NBA refs do not give Knicks the benefit of the doubt. It's just the way it's been, and I'm pretty sure it's the way that it's always going to be. And when you have people who are prominent in the NBA world, whether they play basketball or not, blatantly telling a Knick player that he is not worthy enough to get a foul call when he's actually being fouled, lets you know that this will continue and that they don't care. No matter if the NBA of higher ups see this, they don't care. Adam Silver, who from all purposes I remember, who is a Knicks fan, doesn't care. Why? And I'm not going to try to get political with you guys, but it trickles down to Dolan. This is all about hatred for James Dolan. So as long as James Dolan owns the New York Knicks, they will continue to be cheated out of games. They will continue to have the short end of the stick when it comes to the refs. They will continue being ridiculed on sports broadcasting networks like ESPN, Fox Sports, TNT, who these people are all in cahoots and under the branch of Disney, even though TNT is Turner, they still in cahoots. They know each other. Come on. Let's be honest here. The only way that things will be changed is if James Dolan themselves to team. Otherwise, this will remain the same. I'd like to thank you all for joining me. And if you're new to this channel or a returning viewer, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to get there. Because I know deep down inside, you guys who are listening to this know that I'm telling the truth. I know deep down inside that you know that I only want what's best for the New York Knicks. That's all I want. Something good for the New York Knicks. Other than that, I guess we just wait and see. Maybe a touch of sympathy will hit Adam Silver's heart, where he addresses the issue of the NBA officiating when it comes to this one team. They claim James Harden was complaining, oh, I don't get calls. I don't get calls. He went to the line more in the first half. James Harden was at the line 10 times. The Knicks was only at the line like 2, 3, maybe 4 times. There's no way that one player should have more foul shots than an entire team. No way. James Harden throws himself into you in the foul. I thought we wasn't calling those calls, refs. But because it's the Knicks, we're gonna call those calls. But James Harden, be prepared because we ain't gonna call those calls on your next game because it's not against the Knicks. So come on, man. Excuse me. Let's be honest here. That is what we witnessed last night. The same calls that he been complaining about them not calling, they called for him last night. And he was all happy go lucky, doing his little flex and jump off because he knew. Teams already know that the NBA official is going to be light on them when they play the Knicks. Haven't y'all noticed that? Teams try to foul. Look at what DeAndre Ayton did. He screamed, ran into Julius Randle so bad that when he hit Julius Randle, it knocked him off his feet, spun him around, and Phoenix got the ball and started with the fast break. And the referee looked that he was right there, looked at it and kept it moving. Is this what Julius Randle deserves? I don't care what I say about Julius Randle, about him ISO playing and all of that. That still doesn't mean that he deserves to get fouled and nothing be called. That still doesn't mean that RJ Barrett doesn't need for calls to go his way when he's repeatedly fouled when he's going to the basket. I shouldn't have to make this video. I shouldn't have to take you guys down the rabbit hole so you could see the reason why they're doing this. I shouldn't have to do this. I should be like, well, it was a good game last night. We played well, we lost. Okay. There's no reason that Stephen A should have went on national television and told a Knicks player to shut the hell up. You are not better than this player, so you're not supposed to get those calls because you're not them. He's better than you. Is that a form of prejudice? Telling a player that just because his skill of basketball is not as better as another player who I see push off every time he touched the ball. Let's be honest. If they call these calls on Kevin Durant, he'll have offensive fouls all day. all day because all he do is push off with his arm. And I'm not taking nothing away from him, not saying that he's a good player, but I'm telling you what I witnessed what Kevin Durant does. He fouls players every time he defends. Kevin Durant fouls you every time. There has not been a defensive play from Kevin Durant that I've witnessed that he didn't foul the other player because he's not a great defensive player. Let's be honest here. I witnessed him foul you. I witnessed him offensive foul when he's driving to the basket and he push off of the other player to get his space. I've seen it. But they won't admit it because why? Just like Stephen A. Oh, I'm Kevin Durant. Of course, we know. So, in order to satisfy Kevin Durant, other players from the opposing team needs to be cheated. Sometimes I be feeling like the Knicks have to get punched in their face for a foul to be called. But I'm not going to keep you guys too long. I just wanted to say my piece because I heard that blasphemy from Stephen A. about the Knicks, and I feel that is wrong. I feel that it is wrong. But until then, man, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Put this out there. Put it on Twitter. Put it on Facebook. Put it on your YouTube page. I could care less. Let's put this one out there so the world knows that Stephen A accepts and will take the side of NBA officiating because another player skill may not be as better as the other player who gets the call. So Stephen A man who claims to be a Knicks fan, is okay with NBA officials cheating the Knicks because the Knicks' best player, which is Julius Randle, in his eyes is not better than Kevin Durant. So because Julius Randle is not Kevin Durant, when he gets fouled, the ref shouldn't call it because you're not Kevin Durant. You're not Kevin Durant, so you can't. I don't care if they foul you. You can't call it. I'm not gonna call it. They shouldn't call it, and you are not uh, afforded that luxury. That's not you. You're not Kevin Durant, so you can. I don't care if they foul you. You gotta just suck it up. Isn't that what they did to slaves? Isn't that what they did to minorities all over the world? Because you're not this certain person that you are not afforded the right that they're afforded. Didn't you have a problem with this? What, a 3/5 of a human or 2/5 of the human, what, 2/3, whatever you want to call it? Aren't you the person that talk about, oh, I know all of this about justice, freedom, and blah, 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 but you will spit that blasphemy right there, won't you? That's you, Stephen A. That's you. Shout out to all my Knicks fans. Everybody be blessed, and I'll talk to you guys later.